All right, guys. Well, welcome to another segment of Chevy's Corner. We're here at Cal Strength today with Mike Gattone, who came here for a surprise visit. Came for a Max Out Friday session. We just got done training, and I'm just going to pass the mic here to Mike and let him introduce himself.
Thanks, Chevy. I'm honored to be in Chevy's Corner, by the way, and having a lot of fun being at Cal Strength. Yeah, I'm Mike Gattone. My title is Senior Director of Sports Performance and Coaching Education for USA Weightlifting. You know what that means, any national governing body, track and field, swimming, you name it, they have certain silos of responsibility, right? They're going to have a membership side, they're going to have a marketing side, they're going to have a business side. But of course, when we think of a national governing body, we think of the competitive aspect. So that's more or less my lane. I'm in charge of the department that selects our national teams, keeps communication with coaches, works on rankings, works on selection procedures. When we go to a competition, Lorene, that's our manager of national teams, does all of the planning for the competition. So, anything kind of Team USA related goes through the sport performance department. Coaching education, I think, is an important interplay of high performance because we need good coaches to produce good athletes. So, coaching education, we have a tremendous staff with JP Nicoletta and Anna Swisher, but I kind of sit over that department just to sort of make sure we're aligned in content of coaching development so that we're sort of all speaking the same language. It's my second time working for USA Weightlifting. I was high performance director previously 2009 through about the beginning of 2011. Very interestingly, during a lot of the time period of the rise of California Strength. So that was pretty cool to, kind of see that. I left USA Weightlifting, like I said, end of 2010. Took an interesting little detour, which I never thought I would do, and work in corporate America. I went to work for Gatorade in the sports marketing department, but it was cool, Chevy. I was actually hired as a guy that could go into a weight room at a pro team and talk to the strength coach about, what are you doing? How can our products help you do it better? So it was cool 7 years, actually. I went to Super Bowl every year and sat on a lot of cool sidelines and stuff. So been in weightlifting about 40 years. I lifted we were talking about that earlier. I lifted in my first weightlifting meet junior or senior year in high school, which was 1981, 1982, something like that.
It's been a while.
Yeah, fell in love with weightlifting just at a young age, like a lot of people do for some stupid reason, instead of football or basketball. I just thought that fucking barbell was just the coolest thing, and it was your own thing. Nobody could, bench you because they thought, you didn't have enough heart or whatever if you lifted that shit, and it was your pursuit, and something about that really appealed to me. So about 40 years in this field, done work on strength and conditioning field. I worked for the Chicago Bulls for almost 4 years as an assistant strength coach, worked at Bradley University, men's and women's basketball, worked for the U.S. Olympic Committee in the coaching and sports science department. I was the competition director for the 1996 Olympic Games weightlifting event. So been blessed to do a lot of things, evolved around strength and conditioning, weightlifting, and, just been following my passion through peaks and valleys. And, you and I have talked a lot over the last 2 days about the psychology and the mental struggle of all this. And I think, although I have a pretty unique resume and he goes, oh, wow, you did a lot of cool things, which I have been very blessed, I think the struggle of coaching and career, it's helped me understand, I think, more and more and be more empathetic with the high performance athlete too, because the struggles that I've gone through, moving my family many times, not making much money, making $25,000 working with an NBA team, not having insurance, not being sure what's going to happen after this quad, that has gone along with my career, and I think it's helped me to understand, the rhythm and the mentality of high performance weightlifting at the same time. So
you said something interesting there towards the end, is not knowing what's going to happen after this next quad, because there is a reality that after 2024, weightlifting might be.
That's true. After 2020, bro. I mean, well, we have assurances that weightlifting will be in the Paris Games. The vision is that it will be much smaller. There's punitive, punishment happening because of some of the mismanagement of the International Federation, which is really sad. It all comes down to hurting the everyday athlete. But yeah, so us as a sport. I also meant me professionally. Sometimes national offices turn over after an Olympic quad. Just all those things kind of have stayed consistent in my life in coaching, and in sports management, and they still are active to today.
Yeah. Well, in terms of being a role model, clearly you've had the opportunity to guide athletes throughout your entire life, right? You've been a coach, and for USA Weightlifting, for many years you coached in Chicago Bulls. What things do you feel like you yourself have done to make sure you're on top of your game, and that as a coach, and you're constantly improving yourself? What can you allude to your success in terms of the self improvement as an individual?
Yeah. First thing is passion. I mean, this is what I have done has been, like I said, blessed. I've been able to do a lot of things that have been amazing experiences. I've never had the financial and professional award, though, or reward of, let's say, somebody who is a stockbroker or a, successful tech person. So, it's been a passion play all along, and I think that's the number one thing. If you're going to go into something, especially like this, which is a little bit out of the ordinary, you need to check your passion at the door. If you wake up every day and you care about it and you're interested in it, it's going to go a long way for you, because this could be a grind. And if you're not making money, and if you're gone from your family all the time, and, plus you just don't give a shit about it, then you should do something else, Yeah. But I mean, I'm creeping up on 60, and, besides my work with USA Weightlifting, I go to the gym at night and I coach weightlifters, and I believe I'll do that until I can't do it anymore, because I still, something in my brain lights up when I see somebody do a snatch, and I start thinking, hey, I wonder what I would do on liftoff or pull, or, and so I have a deep interest in it. And I think if you are going to follow something, you need to have that deep passion. That would be the first big piece of advice I'd say, Chevy. And then I think for me as a person, every personality type is different, but okay. I'm an empathetic type person. I'm probably on the side of the spectrum of, I'm the grandpa or uncle that will come and put their arm around you versus the screaming clipboard throwing coach. I mean, I can get intense for sure, and people need that sometime, but so care for the individual is something that's driven me more in my career, particularly as I've aged. As a young coach, I think this pursuit's about you to a point. I want to be the best. I want to produce gold medalists. I want to, Mm-hmm. And although I have that drive still, you realize that it really needs to be about the person you're dealing with, because they have to have the intrinsic motivation. They have to have the drive, and you need to know how to work with them and work with that to keep them going through the shit of this grind, So I think that would be, if I was talking to a young coach, I would say, yes, know your X's and O's, understand volume and intensity and bar path and all the stuff we need to know to be a great weightlifting coach. but spend time reading and understanding the human aspect of it, because at the end of the day, that's really what's going to take you the furthest, I think, as a coach.
Interesting. I've always thought that, I'm in the same line of thought process behind what you're saying, that an athlete must have a good relationship with his coach for the training to go well, and being able to connect with the human aspect of the individual, understanding when an athlete has personal situation getting in his head that he wasn't able to leave at the door when he comes through the door of the gym, and it's now affecting his training. I think that what you're saying about learning to be empathetic and pulling that athlete to a side, being that uncle or that father figure, and kind of like, hey, what's going on? Like, are you okay? Being empathetic and being able to relate to that person and help him in some way, deal with that issue that is now affecting his performance, because you can understand bar path mechanics, training, volume, intensity, what he should be lifting because it's written and that that's what it is, but there's something affecting him.
Yeah.
And so athlete-coach relationship, I agree, it's very important.
I think it's the essence of, particularly in a sport like ours, Chevy, because it's it's not necessarily a team sport. You can't, like on the football field, if somebody's just having a horrible practice or a horrible game, you can pull them and call up your next man. We don't have that necessarily. So I do think that's. And everyone's different at it. I'm not saying I'm a guru at it or anything. I'm just saying my approach, the longer I've done this, is to try to look a little bit more at that aspect of it than to think like, hey, as long as I'm putting a good program out, this person should be improving. I mean, we've seen it over and over and over again. It's the same thing, a teacher deals with in school or a CEO deals with. Imagine if you're, one of your account managers is going through a divorce. I mean, how can they come to work and focus on, getting that project done for you?
Yeah.
So finding ways to understand that and work with it, I think.
So how do you develop, or how do you help an athlete that is going through a personal situation as difficult as in a divorce? That's already pretty big.
Yeah.
What do you say? Once they're there, they're in their headspace. How do you get them out?
Yeah, I think the first thing that you have to sort of help them weigh is the importance of what they're doing.
Yeah.
First of all, I mean, because every situation is different. If a kid's having some deep psychological trauma at home, you may be at the point to say, look, let's take some time and skip the gym and let's get that shit taken care of.
Yeah, because now we're talking about different age groups now.
Right.
Now you said kid,
Yeah.
We were first talking
Everyone's
about
a kid
adult.
to me, Chevy. I'm an old man. You're a kid to me, brother.
Of course.
So, I mean, it might be, you got to look at this as a spectrum.
Yeah.
That's one side of it. Like your mental health, that's the number one thing of importance. Yeah. Okay. So you start with that discussion. Yeah. Okay. No, coach, I mean, I want to keep training. I need this in my life. Okay, so we've determined that. This is something that's important to you. As important as that is, the problem at home in your personal life. So then what we have to try to do is when we step in here, let's try to, each rep, be engaged in the process of the workout. Even if we're not necessarily hitting certain numbers. Let's not even think about the outcome. Let's just think about the process of the workout. We can control that. We can control the process. So first determine, can we put that other stuff aside for a little bit? If we can, then that's a way to help the person, in between your sets. Let's just try to think about the next set or what I have to do to be ready for the next set. The one thing that's great about weightlifting, it's repetitive. Yeah. That's boring, but it's also a good thing about it. It's not like, when you're playing football and you have to adjust your defense to something that other team's doing offensively. Mm-hmm. Same start position, same lift off, same second pull. Same jerk setup all the time, right? If
Yeah.
it's 120 or it's 160, you got to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So help that person get focused in on that process.
Of course.
And that's a good way for them to sort of focus on what they're doing, put this other personal thing aside for a while. It's not going to go away. It's not necessarily going to help it get better, but maybe it takes you away from it for a while and allows you to have a positive, experience. So first, I think, is weighing it that way. How bad, how important is that stuff is. And then you got to be, during the process, keeping an eye on what's happening. Don't throw the person into a situation that's going to make the larger issue worse.
Yeah.
Okay? If it looks like they're handling things, and let's say you've programmed out a 90% day, and they're handling things and they're able to hit their numbers, good. Let's go. But if you see it blowing up early, maybe it's time for you to step in and just say, hey, you know what? I know we're having this rough time at home. Let's make today a perfect technical day.
Yeah.
I planned 18 working reps. We're going to get 18 reps, but maybe we're going to stay at 70 to 75% instead. So be malleable enough to do that as well, I think, is really important, because now you don't want to throw a bad experience in the weight room on top of the other thing that's going on. The final part is, you may have to have a point where you do kick some ass a little bit too. It depends on your relationship with the person, and that's where you may also be like, hey, Chevy, we've been together 5 years now. Mm-hmm. You said this shit's important to you. Yeah. You said it. You come here every day. Yeah. Quit wasting your own time. Quit wasting your own time. Don't do this to yourself. Yeah. You're here. I know that other thing sucks. Yeah. Okay, but you're here right now. You've put in the time. Let's freaking commit to it. Yeah. So there's different spectrums of it, and I think you can't, you can't use the same approach every single time. Mm-hmm. I think that's a problem if you do. Of course. But those would be different kind of shades of gray that I would look at handling that type of problem.
This is very interesting. I'm sure everyone deals with issues, and sometimes they're not feeling their best. Think having different approaches to, like, all right, I need to focus on good mechanics, like you said, and just look within for that internal motivation and understand, like, I'm here because I want to be. No one's forcing me. This is important to me. And just kind of like push yourself, right? Just deliberately expect more of yourself regardless of what's going on as an athlete. And as a coach, have the understanding of what it needs to be done. Yeah. That's pretty good.
In life, now this big term out there is mindfulness, but, and it might sound ethereal and, flighty, but it's a real thing. When I'm having coffee with my wife in the morning, I need to be mindful of that time with her and enjoy that, and maybe speak with her about things going on in the house or things we need to discuss together, instead of me thinking about, man, I hope Chevy has a good workout today. Yeah. It's the same thing. When you come to the gym, every athlete, also needs to be mindful of the process of training. Okay? Don't think so much of the outcome. Think about the moment to moment. Don't even think. Yeah. Be engaged in the moment to moment pursuit of, getting yourself through this workout in a fruitful way. Yeah. The same as, when you read a book at night, unplug. Think about what's on the page instead of thinking about something else that's in your life. When you're with your friend eating dinner, enjoy that time. Think about your friend instead of thinking about, other selfish things in life. And that's how training should be as well. Not always easier said than done, but that's a really good skill that we all need to continue to try to work on.
I have a great question for you following what you just said about reading a book before going to bed. I have been getting into reading recently a little bit more, kind of just looking for guidance, looking for stuff to feed the brain and kind of improve myself as an individual. And it's kind of like the intent of this podcast as well, is to like give people ways to improve themselves too. So what do you feel, I guess, what would be your ideal situation for an athlete? All right, so this is what you need financially at the very least, recovery at the very least, you know, like what would be at the very least you need this, optimal, best situation, best case scenario, this would be, you know, what I would like to have for my athletes, right? And I guess talk to me a little bit about Forza Weightlifting, which is your gym back home.
Yeah, that's a cool team I started in about 2014. So
so tell me about your gym, and before tell me about just that aspect. Like, what do you think is the bare minimum? What does an athlete need to be successful, and what would be the best case scenario for them to achieve the Olympics?
I think we need time to do the opposite of what we drive our bodies through. What you guys drive your body through every day, which is fight or flight. You know, every single time you come to work out, your nervous system thinks it's going into the jungle to hunt a tiger. So when you're out of here, you know, I took a walk over lunchtime and I was thinking, God dang, it's a really beautiful area around here, you know.
Yeah, it is really beautiful.
So maybe, you know, for a weightlifter to just go out and find a nice park, you know, don't make your legs tired, but, you know, go out and sit in the sun, let your heart rate slow down, work your parasympathetic nervous system and not just be on all the time. I think that's a really important thing for a weightlifter. It's, you know, find a book you like, you know, you want to read Game of Thrones, you like, you know, science fiction, escapism, you know, I like history. I learn a lot from reading historical books, you know, about, you know, what people had to do in times of war and shit like that. You realize my life ain't so bad, you know. So I think that would be an ideal thing for a weightlifter. I think for a high performance athlete is trying to have balance. You know, because believe it or not, that escapism, that's good for your recovery. You know, that gets your nervous system toned down, get your cortisol to stop flowing. It's something really important for your recovery. I think spending time doing things like yoga and mobility work where you're breathing and relaxing during that. I think that's something really, we're like this, weightlifting, it's this all the time, you know, so some stuff where we're not pushing, you know, we're flowing, we're relaxing, maybe get in a pool, you know, swimming, floating, those would be great things for an athlete, I think at all levels, but particularly, how many sessions do you do per week? 9 sessions, 8 sessions, something like that.
9 sessions. I don't count them too much.
The Godfather's here.
The Godfather's here.
Are you out of here?
Podcasting sensation, Christian.
I'm saying goodbye to Coach Spitz while we're on. Thank you for your time, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks for
coming
letting
all the
me
way out here.
invade.
Yeah. Hopefully, we will be in better shape the next time you see us.
It's good. And early next week, I'll have those.
Yeah, the week is always really productive. I feel very good about it. So, you know, I like where we're headed. We'll be fine.
Yeah, we did some biomechanical filming today, so we're gonna hopefully early next week look at those videos. Dave, Wes, if you want, whatever you think works best that way.
What was the intention of the trip? Like, so the biomechanical videos was kind of like the intention of like what you were doing with the.
Well, I mean, Wes. Yeah, I mean, the intention of this trip is, you know, Dave and I are going to be together for a month basically, and Wes, and over the last 4 years, we've developed a good working relationship, but. You got to keep that going. I live 2,000 miles away, so it's good. We ate dinner last night. We had a little wine. We, you know.
No! Wine? How dare you? Back in California.
So, you know, I mean, you go to war together. You know, you need to, and so that was the intent of this. Strategies. Just I'm gonna be. Wes he's an Olympian, dude. So we gotta see how we can. Keep working together to have him ready to go in Tokyo in 50 days. So, see you, Dave. Thank you, bro. Thanks for everything.
Appreciate you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
So, yeah, we were talking about. So you were talking about things that an athlete should do, you know. And I think if you look at like, you there's some really interesting stuff out there on. There's people that are health and wellness coaches, and I'm certainly not a wellness coach, but you can look that stuff up on the web, and you'll see a circle of wellness, and that's for a normal person. Fitness is a part of it, financial wellness, safety. Feeling like you live in a place where you're not going to be jumped when you go out at night. I think spirituality is a part of that. Yeah. Eating well, nutrition.
For sure.
It's the same for a weightlifter. It just expands. These things are probably even more important for you. So I think don't feel bad if you have to spend time. You and I talked. I asked you, that hard question. What do you want to do with your life?
Oh yeah. Well, and right now it's just weightlifting.
Yeah. But I think you even felt, if you don't mind me saying, you even felt like maybe it's weak of you to say you're thinking of something post weightlifting, but it's not. It's actually doesn't show that you're any less involved or engaged now. It's one of those things on the circle that could help you be a little more relaxed and focused when you're training. Yeah. If hey, I got some real estate deals going on, or I got this or that, Yeah. So I think that's the advice I would give anybody trying to be an athlete at a high level. We tend to have this vision in the United States of just so the grindstone 24/7, but you got to have some balance, and it's really important to your ability to turn it on and go hard in here if things are going well in these other areas of your life.
For me, one of the things that I've told myself a lot, or at least one of the things that I've done for myself, is eliminating distractions. I left Puerto Rico for kind of like that same reason. Not necessarily. I mean, I was very successful as an athlete there, but I do know for a fact that I would go out on weekends with my friends and drink and party. And being out here, like, I do have friends and I do spend time with some people, but I just keep to myself a lot more.
Yeah.
I rest a lot more, more focused. I feel like I have just so the ability to focus more because I have less distractions, essentially, and eliminating distractions has been, for me, one of the key components to my success, at least, coming out to California Strength. Basically, I came here because I wanted to be a good weightlifter, and that is what is
it's proving out for you.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to, and you need that 100% affirm everything you just said.
Yeah.
But I think you do also need to have that ability. Do I think you should be going out drinking and partying? No, you're not a normal human being. When you ingest a lot of alcohol, that affects mTOR, that affects muscle protein synthesis. But be great if you have a couple people you can go out and have dinner with, and go to church with, go for a walk with, whatever. Get the hell away from weightlifting sometimes too.
Is this something you tell your athletes?
Yeah.
Like when you have your athletes back, Forza weightlifting.
Yeah.
Do you basically tell them, like, look, I want you to have these hobbies?
Yeah. I probably could do a better job at it, Chevy. I sound maybe a little bit hypocritical, but I mean, I've been through it now with, I can think of an athlete that, is young, but is at a very high level that I train and am very close with. And, she went through a serious injury, and coming back from that injury now, I think one thing we've worked a lot on is not being 24/7 on weightlifting. It's good to go out and have ice cream with your friends. It's good to be involved. She's really involved in her church. Those are good things. Yeah. It as long as that should be in balance too. Everything has to be in balance. So I think that's important. Some of the times the paradigm that we built on high performance it's skewed in the United States. It's based on, I don't know, maybe an Eastern European model where, you lived in an Olympic training center, the government took care of you, and your your alternative was go work in the shitty ass factory, we don't necessarily have that model in the United States, So as long as you're balancing, I think you need the amount of training you're doing, that's what's making you great. Mm-hmm. The hard work you do, that's what makes you great. But when you do work that hard, being able to escape it a little bit too, in a reasonable way that's not hurting the pursuit, I think is important.
Balance. So, yeah, I was asking you about Forza weightlifting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your gym.
Yeah, that's my little side.
Where is it located?
It's in the suburbs of Chicago, just close to where I live. I started, so when I left USA Weightlifting, this would be my fourth weightlifting club in my life that I've coached at, and three of them I started. When I left USA Weightlifting in 2011, beginning of 2011, and went to work for Gatorade, I sort of withdrew from weightlifting for a couple years. I was, just kind of watching stuff on the web, and that was it. And then, I taught a USAW course at this CrossFit near my house, and the guy said, "Hey, would you like to coach weightlifting here?" And we started off with, 4 platforms and, about 5 people, and now there's 14 platforms and about 35 people in there. And
you work with all 34 athletes?
Because I've worked full time for USA Weightlifting and I travel a lot. So Dave Esther is really the day-to-day, head coach of Forza. It's really his baby. He keeps it rolling and rocking where it is now. But when I don't travel, after work I go there in the evenings. I'm still pretty active in programming for many of the athletes, and I enjoy watching people lift, and I enjoy being a part of the creative process of training programs, going to competitions, all those things. So luckily I'm still able to kind of do that on the grassroots level, in addition to coming out and seeing guys like you here. So
do you have any athletes that you're taking to nationals?
Yeah, there's 13 athletes from Forza across youth, junior, senior, and U25 going to Detroit. So that'll be cool. And 4 coaches. I don't count myself because I'm going to work for USA Weightlifting. So there's 4 coaches from Forza now that will be there with that group of athletes. So
how many athletes have you produced to the national level, international level so far?
Well,
in the years of coaching,
I was blessed that I was the personal coach of Tara Knott, our first gold medalist. She went to live at the Olympic Training Center, for many years of her career. So in all fairness, I have to point that out. But I started Tara. I remained her personal coach through all of her Olympic career and was very fortunate and blessed to do that. Jackie Burby, she was an American record holder and also lived at the Olympic Training Center. She was an athlete that I started and, worked with. I don't know, dude. Several junior national level athletes. Natalie Friend, I took to Junior Worlds. So, and now about four athletes that I personally coach and write their programs for. But really, actually, all athletes that are, I probably have I'm pretty involved in the programming of the team. So, I don't know, many, but at the highest international level, Tara's the pinnacle. And, it shows, too. To really, Dave and I were talking about that last night. You think about, I said that to the reporter today, but, Dave had 3 men on a team of 10 at the Pan Am Championships. That's 30%. That's an amazing accomplishment, So it's dicey. It's hard to get an athlete to those very highest levels, So.
Well, let's finish off with one interesting question that I'm curious about.
Yeah.
You were talking about the Olympic training site.
Yeah.
It kind of the program got
canceled, and I just started. Well, no, right before I started, September of 2016.
Yeah.
It was a really long run. I mean,
it's been 5 years since the
yeah.
Olympic Training Center has been.
I mean, for perspective, I went to a camp as an athlete.
Yeah.
In 1985, it was a U23 camp.
Yeah.
And there was already a resident program at the OTC at that point, so 1985.
Right.
And then I coached through many, many junior camps, and so all through the 90s and then into the 2000s. We're a decentralized system now, and I think we are, it plays to a lot of our strength in the United States to be a decentralized system. We can start with the positives of it, which I think greatly outweigh the negatives. But the positives of it are, athletes can live where they want to live. If they're married or have loved ones or, want to be in a certain area, there's choices for them now where, when you just have one centralized Olympic training center, that goes away. People can stay near family and friends. If they connect well with a personal coach, of course they stay with that personal coach. That's the single biggest thing, I think, and the amazing personal coaches we have in America, which build our national team, shows that as well. It just plays to a lot of what's great about America, and that's individual choice. We have people on our national team who train 4 days a week, and it works for them. We have people on our national team that train 9 times a week, and that works for them. So all of those things, I think, prove our strength. The other thing, too, we have this deep, huge genetic pool. We have a big, massive, healthy country. Mm-hmm. So we have great weightlifting in many, many areas of the country, and that's one of the really positive things about a decentralized system, too. Some of the things that sometimes I think we get in the way, and that's what I think we're doing a better and better job on, though, is, we don't see each other all the time. I've tried really hard to keep communication and keep relationships with the coaches who are producing, people to the world team. But, sometimes, things that you could have helped with sooner, don't happen. I think sometimes throwing resources, we have people on world teams that train in garages. Is that a bad thing? No, that's not a bad thing. It's amazing when you think about it. We go to war against people from countries that have a national training center with people who train in very diverse atmospheres. But, can that athlete go get in a sauna 3 times a week? Can that athlete get massage on a regular basis? Can that athlete, get the nutritional support they would get if they were living at an Olympic training center? That we need to continue to try to build upon, I think. That's one of the things that is a little more difficult with a decentralized system that we have. Yeah. So, but I think certainly Chevy, this quad, bro, you look at the success that USA Weightlifting has had, it's hard to argue that this system we've developed isn't working.
Yeah.
It's working pretty damn well.
So. I would agree. There's a lot of success built upon the success.
Yeah.
And you got a great solid team going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
8 athletes. That's a lot of athletes.
Full team, not being a host nation, and getting a full team, that's a big deal. In '96 we qualified 3. We got a full team because we were the host nation, but. Yeah, and there's athletes who qualified that didn't get selected, so that's, that shows our depth, I think, So, challenges we got to continue to work on, Do
you think the Olympic training site might come back?
I don't think we'll ever have a centralized. No, I don't think we would have that. I do think it would be nice, to to have a place we could go. Rogue has been that to some extent. In 2017, 2018, 2019, we did get-togethers at Rogue. This year we used a Marriott hotel in Salt Lake City just because we needed to be able to kind of bubble somewhere and be able to feed people and stuff like that. Because I do think that is a magic thing. It's great when you have new people that you're not normally training with, If you and Harrison are together, the two best 81s, or you throw, Matt Rattay in there and John Down, you throw a bunch of guys, for example, that are right around pushing each other, you can have a tremendous week or so. So, I think that concept I would like to, we've been jacked by COVID, but, if you talk about a training center, I basically look at it that way, like a site where we could meet without a bunch of, set up like we have to do in this ballroom in the Marriott Hotel, where we could show up, we can train, we can go eat, we can be together in the evenings, do some activities. That's what I think the best use is for.
Maybe Cal Strength can be a...
I mean, there's clubs that are big enough around the country where we definitely can do that, Nice to have a place, nice thing about Rogue, they're an amazing sponsor, and it's kind of in the middle of the country. I
haven't been there.
It's fairly easy to...
I can't really relate.
No, I know, but yeah, location, I think, is an aspect, but we certainly could come to a place like this. You got tons of platforms out there, so...
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time.
Hey,
Mike.
Chevy, I appreciate it. You're a great dude.
Appreciate it. Anything you want to say to anyone that's watching the podcast right now? Kind of like send them towards your, maybe a YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Instagram.
I'm older guy, so I do my weightlifting stuff on Instagram. Okay. So Gattone64 is my Instagram. I try to put, a lot of videos up there from the gym. I'm trying to do a little bit more on, training content and technical content. So yeah, Instagram is a place right now. If you think I can be of service or you have a question, feel free to DM me there. My email, mike.gattone@usaweightlifting.org. If you have questions on coaching courses, starting a club, taking your weightlifting to the next level, maybe you want to be able to do what Chevy Rodriguez does, and you think, hey, if I had a little more direction or guidance, I think I could get there, and you have questions, please reach out to me, I would say other than that, keep fighting, keep your head down, I think I'll finish with, this is a good piece of advice I heard from a very venerable sports psychologist in the country. Every day when you finish training, you can ask yourself, what did I do well today? Because even on the shittiest day, you must have done something well. And it's good to be able to think about that. So what did I do well? The next question is, what could I have done better? Not what did I do shitty, but what could I have done better? Mm-hmm. And then the third thing is, what can I do to act on that for the next time? Mm-hmm. So you got a positive, you got something you want to improve, and then you got an objective thing to go after. And it shouldn't be like work harder, focus more. That's too obtuse. Try to be objective with it. I missed a lot of snatches out front. Okay, why? My liftoff was shitty. Okay, next workout, I'm going to work on better balance through my foot. I'm going to work on getting my knees back, bringing the bar in. Awesome. We got 3 good things to finish the workout with. Now go home, forget about it, read your book, take your hot cold shower, have your carbs and protein, come back and remember, those 3 things you wrote down and try to start with that for the next workout. So That's my advice.
Great.
And watch Chevy's Corner.
Yes, this is still a work in progress, but this is awesome to have such a respectable coach as yourself. Buddy. Just be willing to participate through my insistency multiple times to please be a
Where's
part
that $100 you were going to pay me for that?
I'll get you dinner. I'll get you
All
dinner.
Right, okay. No, I'm not taking money from athletes on camera. It's an honor to be on here.
Thank you so much to come out here and be with us for, giving us your technical advice and your knowledge. You know, it wouldn't have
Honored
been
to be out here. So.
It wouldn't have been as fun as a Max Out Friday session if you weren't been here. So
You did good today, man.
thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
tuning
you, buddy.
in,
Good
and
luck,
I'll
everybody.
See you next time.
See you.